At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and we are back. Couldn't do coffee with Krueger yesterday morning. Internet, as you all know, was down. Got a great comment coming in from Lisa Stevens this morning saying, yay for the internet. Hello, everyone, and yes, yay for the internet. You know, I remember, gosh, it feels like 10, 15 years ago, having a conversation with an old colleague of mine, Jennifer Scarborough. You may remember her. Of course, her married name is, of course, Jennifer Hasselrud. But we were having a conversation years ago, I remember, and we were talking about the internet, and then I think at that point, the internet had gone down. And I was talking about, like, yeah, you know, the internet, it goes down, whatever, you know. She goes, you know, the internet's like the phone. You know, back in the day, if the phone went down, it was just all hell broke loose, right? Well, same situation now. In fact, if the phones go down, that's not a big deal. We got our cell phones, right? But the internet just, it's so important to so many people, such as myself, right? I'm a web-based channel. So without the internet, I can't do anything. Even the weather data that comes in from my weather computer, if it's not connected to the internet, I'm not getting the new and current data, weather data, radar data, all that stuff. So it made for a bit of a challenging day for me yesterday. So definitely kind of interesting here. We've got Jeff Johnson saying, glad you are up and running. Yeah, so am I. So am I. But thank goodness it didn't have a huge impact. We were able to kind of get through it. And the thing is, we all know, you may have heard the reason why there was an outage and vandalism for Spectrum. I guess someone had actually cut one of the cords for the internet. Now, there are these fiber, I guess, these small little wires in there. And apparently there are over 600 of these wires they had to reconnect in order for everyone to be back up and running here. Now, of course, it did kind of come in, some areas saw it sooner than others. I was probably sometime around 2 o'clock in the afternoon when it finally came back up for me and stayed up and was able to recover. The 24-hour streaming channel took a little bit of a hit. It was still going because my server, who's outside of the area, still had the channel running. It just wasn't getting the data that was coming in. So definitely interesting there. So good morning, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your cup of coffee. The internet is back. Things are back to normal. As I look out the window, there are still some clouds out there this morning. You may notice that that's still some of the leftover monsoon moisture that is in place right now. So yeah, I mean, we've still got some of those clouds left over, but the rain, it's gone. We're pretty much gone with the rain. But take a look at the current conditions out there right now. The temperatures, you got about 75 degrees for Reading right now, 73 degrees in Red Bluff, 66 degrees in Corning. We got 57 out in Quincy, and there is El Turt, the temperature right now of 61 degrees. Now the visibility, it's down a little bit here. We still have some of the low clouds, a little bit of fog out there for some of the coastal regions. We take a look at Elk Country, north of Trinidad. We also have the camera coming in from Crescent City there, and Crescent City camera is also showing that we do have some of the low clouds sticking around out there. There's going to be some patchy fog as you head out to sea. So, for example, that small boat that's about to go out fishing may run into some of that patchy, dense fog out there this morning. But overall, we do have those clouds along the coast. Still some clouds kind of lingering overhead for most of us here in Northern California, but those should start to kind of dissipate. Let's get you out the door this morning on this June 26th. Can you believe it? It's already the end of June almost here. Well, it is the end, getting close to the end of June. 72 for the temperature at 8 o'clock this morning in the valley. mainly in the 60s for the higher elevations, and of course the overcast skies for many of us on the coast with temperatures in the low 50s. Do want to kind of give you an update on the Apache fire. As you know, there were some evacuation orders yesterday. Those were lifted yesterday evening. Now, looking at the Apache fire, we're going to go ahead and click on that. We're going to get the latest information coming in, and it's at 691 acres, close to 50% containment right now. So we do have an evacuation warning. So let's zoom it in here. I'm going to take this off here so we can take a look at just a bigger map. So you've got the Apache fire there, and it started, it looks like off of, what road is that? It doesn't show the road, but just off of Apache Hill Road, which of course how it got its name. Now where we have evacuation warnings is Butte Vista Road at the very southern tip of where we're seeing this evacuation warning. It includes Fletcher Road, you've got Silver Bar Road in there, you've got Stage Line Road, and then you've got Pinecrest Road, and then the very northern tip of, I guess, the border of where the northern border of the evacuation warning is Lower Wyandotte Road, and then of course on the west side of that would be Upper Palermo Road. So that's where you have the evacuation warnings. Now the community of Palermo itself, or at least Palermo proper, is just to the west of where we do have those evacuation warnings. And you can see the fire perimeter. So the fire perimeter starts, again, I can't get Highway 122 is that road, which then of course attaches to Apache Hill Road. So just south of that is where we have the fire perimeter. It does look like there is a home that was protected, hopefully, and looks like there is a structure there that may have been damaged. There's another one that's within the fire perimeter, unfortunately, that may have been damaged as well. In fact, last I heard, there were 2 homes or 2 structures that were burned down, unfortunately. But it looks like the main path of this fire, where we are seeing that fire perimeter, you kind of look at the Google Maps here, and we're not seeing a lot of structures. Now, it looks like there's a structure there. Now, again, just because these structures and homes may be inside the fire perimeter doesn't necessarily mean they all burned down, because they can still protect a lot of those homes. So you can see it kind of works its way up that fire perimeter, working its way up to Rabbit Road, and then Beaver Road there as well. And then, of course, it works its way up to the north and west. Now, it looks like, again, for the most part, keeping that fire perimeter away from a lot of those homes. There's Katy Court. But again, this is not necessarily 100% important for me to tell you where all the roads are, because this is not under an evacuation order. So anybody who lives in these areas knows the condition of their home and their neighborhood, because they were able to drive into that area and they can actually go back into their homes. Looks like there's another little spot fire that started just to the west of Desher Tract Road. And it is basically between Desert Tract Road and Cynthian Court. I'm not getting any. Oh, there it is. Stage Line Road is where we have that bit of a spot fire there as well. So that's kind of looking at watch duty, some of the unofficial fire perimeters of that area, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that and show that. So again, looking at the fire tracker, what this is, it's a satellite image, and what it does is it detects heat coming from the fires. So that yellow patch of yellow that you see there, that is data that is 24 hours old. So what it means is we are not seeing any recent activity with the Apache fire. That's good. And of course, that's one of the reasons why they lifted that evacuation warning. Now, we still have fire danger today. There's a red flag warning for Modoc County from noon until 8 o'clock tonight. And for eastern Lassen County, that starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon. The main reason for this red flag warning are gusty winds and low relative humidity. Now, right now, the winds are not that much of a factor. We're not too concerned about them. But as we get into the noon hour, notice the winds to the east. The areas of green and yellow, that's 20 to 25 miles per hour. Those are going to be the forecast wind gusts. Now, notice the valley. The winds aren't that bad there just yet. But as we go into this afternoon and evening, then we see the winds pick up even more, 20 to 30 miles per hour for the eastern mountains in Modoc County. Now, notice extreme Modoc County and Lassen County, you are seeing some pretty gusty winds there as well, and we're beginning to see the winds pick up in the valley as well. If we look at the humidity levels, they're anywhere from 10 to a little over 20% here for today. Dry, but we certainly have seen drier conditions. That being said, looking at the fire weather risk, combining the temperature and the winds, we have the moderate to high fire danger in the valley. And for most of the eastern mountains, actually within that moderate range. But again, because of the winds and the low humidity, we've got to be on the lookout for that. Notice where most of the lightning strikes were yesterday. They were mainly over Nevada and the southern Sierra. We did see a couple of lightning strikes in extreme northern California here, including Trinity County. Most of us just saw some sprinkles, light showers, and what looked like it was trying to rain. But a lot of that rain did indeed evaporate. You may have looked off in the distance or pretty close to you and saw streaks coming from the clouds. That's the rain that was evaporating. Now, there were some areas, I did get reports of some heavier rainfall in some areas from that as well. So definitely kind of looking at an interesting situation there. But the good news is we didn't see a lot of lightning strikes for us. Now, taking a look at Futurecast, you can see that we do have a lot of that fog, low clouds dissipating for a good portion of the coast through the afternoon. But it looks like it may return once again this evening and into tonight, but no rain in the forecast. So for today, we're talking temperature of 97 for Redding, 94 in Red Bluff. So basically, 94 in Chico. So mid 90s, give or take for the valley, 80s for most of the higher elevations. Let's go and take a look at your 7-day outlook for the valley. Now notice the temperature is going up, actually going down, back up, back down again, back up. Now look at the temperatures. Now that's the 3rd of July that you see on Tuesday. It might even get warmer for the 4th of July. Here's your coast forecast. Of course, dry conditions, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s. Temperatures, the trend for inland, valley, and the mountains, down, then up, down, then back up again. That's the case for Mount Shasta. That's the case for Alturas. And that's, of course, the case for Susanville as well. Let's take a look at Lake Oroville, North Forebay. Looks like a little bit of a breeze out there this morning. We're not seeing that smooth surface on the lake there. We take a look at Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Looks like there's not much traffic out there this morning. And if you look at the trees, we're not really seeing that wind blowing there either. Although it looks like a little bit of a breeze there on Highway 99 at Neal Road. You can kind of see that camera shaking. Again, the winds aren't terrible, but as you start getting more of those wide open spaces, there's a little bit less of that shelter from the winds. We take a look at Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. Looks like traffic is flowing smoothly there. All right, we've got some pictures to show you. This is coming in from Krista. Thank you so much, Krista, for sending in this image. This is from, all that monsoon moisture just brought in a lot of those clouds, making for some beautiful sunset pictures. Thank you, Krista, for sending in this. We've also got one from David Hoffman, which, by the way, he informed me that he is a weather storm spotter for the National Weather Service. So that makes him a spotter for us here at Weather NorCal as well, because he's so active with us. And I am so appreciative of David in the pictures that he sends, and I'm appreciative of all of you that send those pictures, like Rowdy Kelly out in southwest Trinity County, also showing those clouds that we saw yesterday. Look at that beautiful landscape of the Trinity Mountains there, or not the Trinity Mountains, just the mountains in general. Now, one thing I want you to take note, and I'm sure Rowdy didn't quite think about this after taking the picture, but certainly is very informative to me. Because what it's showing is, yes, you look off the distance, you see the green trees. But look at there in the foreground. Look at that dry brush. Yes, the beautiful snowpack that we saw in the mountains and the snow that we did see in the mountains and the rain above normal rainfall for the season, that's all great. But now things are starting to dry out, including the higher elevations. Let's take a look. Of course, we want to remind you that if you want to send your pictures, and I really would love for you to do that for me, please. I want to keep them coming. I'm starting to see that begin to really pile up. in the Weather NorCal app where I can see all your pictures. So thank you all so much for sending the pictures. If you haven't seen yours yet, be patient. We'll get around to them because, yeah, we're getting more photos. But you can share your photos very easily, and the easiest way to do it is from the free Weather NorCal app. Let's be honest. A majority of us now take pictures with our phones. Our photos live in our phones. Long gone are the days, and we still have people out there, don't get me wrong, where you have a separate camera outside of your phone. People do that. People still do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the easiest way, the majority of people take pictures with their phones, and it's easy to share your pictures from the free Weather NorCal app. So just wanted to kind of give you a reminder of that. Let's see what else we got going on out there this morning. We have got, interesting. Jeff Johnson is saying here that we got some sprinkles last night in Happy Valley, but only for about 10 minutes. And that was expected with this monsoon moisture as it passed on through. We saw some sprinkles, we saw some light showers, some of us saw heavier rainfall. There were a couple of lightning strikes, especially in Trinity County. And then others were completely dry. I know for me, I didn't see any raindrops where I was even throughout the day. Looks like Rowdy, who of course sent us one of those awesome pictures, Rowdy Kelly saying some low valley fog in southeastern Trinity County this morning. I bet it's making for a beautiful sight. If you can get above that fog, you can see that fog kind of working its way into those lower valleys here. So definitely interesting, and I want to thank you, Rowdy, for sending in that information. I certainly appreciate that. My camera's going out of focus. Can we get it back in focus? Oh, there we go. Autofocus. It's not perfect, is it? Hey, by the way, as you know, this is something I've been doing here. I couldn't do it yesterday because of the lack of internet, but we're going to get back on track here. I have been going to many of the sponsors, and I've been interviewing them and learning more about their businesses, because in celebration of the 1-year anniversary of Weather NorCal, I'm also celebrating our sponsors. We need to celebrate our sponsors. Why? Because our sponsors are the reason why Weather NorCal can stay afloat. I can pay the bills, not only for Weather NorCal, but it also pays for me to help pay the bills and keep my household running as well. So we've got a lot of expenses that we've got to take care of, even just for Weather NorCal in general. So without the sponsors, Weather NorCal would not exist. And one of those sponsors is Budget Blinds of Reading. So I want to introduce to you the owners of Budget Blinds. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about their business. Hello everyone, Mike Krueger, Weather NorCal. And as we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Weather NorCal, we also celebrate our sponsors. Because without our sponsors, Weather NorCal would not exist. So one of our sponsors is Budget Blinds of Reading, and I'm standing here with the owners of Budget Blinds, and that's Jerry and Kim, and you are the owners of Budget Blinds. How long have you been in business here?
Just over 20 years.
It's been over 20 years. And in those 20 years, have you noticed a big change in the way blinds are designed and sold? I mean, I'm sure there's been a big difference, right?
There hasn't been a huge difference until real recently, and with child safety standards changing, we're seeing a dramatic change in business today, and how things operate, and what we can legally sell and what we can't sell, and we're still learning that ourselves.
Well, at least you're staying out of the black market then.
We are. Yeah.
That's good. Tell us about Budget Blinds and what it is you offer.
So Budget Blinds is a nationwide franchise. There's over 1,200 of us throughout the United States and Canada. And we offer in-home professional window covering experience, really. So when you call us, we're going to come out to your home with product to show you in your lighting, with your paint colors, with your carpet. It's going to make it a much easier experience than trying to do it, say, online or in a
even in
like a big box.
Even coming in here.
Yeah. So that's the kind of cool part. Like, you can come in here, you can kind of show some of the different things that you offer. And speaking of that, what are some of the products that you do offer? I mean, it's not just, blinds, but there's shutters, all that, right?
No, we have shades, blinds,
Drapes.
shutters, exterior shadings, We offer some different screen solutions.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit to us in what we can offer.
All right, that's fantastic. Anything else you want to kind of mention about budget blinds before we kind of wrap this up?
No, just that we are local, and we do try to support local projects and businesses as well. So here we are, and we're here to stay.
All right, that is awesome. Well, if you are in need of any kind of blinds or drapes or any kind of window coverings in general, be sure to come on to Budget Blinds here. You're on
Tanqueray Court.
Tanqueray Court. You got to make sure you say that.
It's probably easier. Just go to budgetblinds.com, put in your zip code, it'll bring us right to here, and we can schedule something here or at your home. That's
there you go.
The easiest
and of course, we'll have the phone number and the website there on the bottom of your screen there for easy access for you. So I want to thank you for your support of Weather NorCal and your sponsorship. And of course, we want to thank you as well. So we will see you on next time for our next business that we will be highlighting. That's all coming up here on Weather NorCal. All right, so there is a look at their website. So what I did is I typed in budgetblinds.com. You saw it there on your screen there. And what he was saying is, because it is a national chain, but of course it's owned locally, and of course trust me, it's got that local feel to it, because they will come to your home and do a consult, and it's not you're just dealing with computers and all that stuff. They're there locally. You saw that there's their office there, and you call them, you talk to a person. But so you go to the website and you can see budgetblinds.com. So right now, you say, hey, find your location. So I just type 96001, of course, for Reading. I hit enter. And what it does now, it takes me to the Reading website here. So Reading, you can see it right there. And then there's the phone number for Budget Blinds here locally in Reading, 530-213-5874. However, if you live in Chico or anywhere else, you can get the local offices there as well. So want to thank again Budget Blinds for their sponsorship and supporting Weather NorCal, because again, without our sponsors, we just would not exist. All right, folks, let's get you to the forecast now. And before we do that though, I had some interesting comments that I was reading here during that segment here, and it looks like Catherine Schmidt is saying that, kind of fun, you went on a hike in Mount Shasta yesterday with your grandson and had sprinkles on the lunch. Now, I'm glad it was just sprinkles and it wasn't heavy rainfall, because it could have been a lot worse. But that was really the story for all of Northern California yesterday. For the most part, we just saw those scattered, isolated sprinkles here and there. So there you go. We got Curtis Brown also saying, good morning to everybody. Thank you, Curtis, and saying good to see that you are up and running again. And I agree. I am so thrilled that, really, let's be honest, a lot of people like to complain about the big companies, like the big cell phone companies and the cable companies and all that kind of stuff. But let's be honest, when we hear about what happened yesterday with that outage, and basically it was vandalism and someone just cut it in half. Can you imagine a big cable like that? Now, apparently there are over 600 wires or cables or something of that nature that they had to reconnect. 600. So imagine that, of how difficult that would be in the amount of time that it took. So I think under the circumstances, they actually did a pretty good job. Because again, there was a lot probably going into it, and it kind of came in spurts. Some people saw it first and others a little bit later than others. So they were able to kind of get people services earlier than others. But in the end, all is well in the internet universe. Looks like we got Kenny Elwood chiming in this morning. Thank you, Kenny. Looks like he is saying, glad to have you back. Well, thank you, Kenny. I'm glad to be back. Yes, yesterday was kind of those things where if it's part of your routine to watch Coffee with Krueger, it wasn't there. Number one, because you couldn't even log on to the internet because it was gone. However, if you have a phone, if you do it from your phone, you at least had cell phone service, and you're like, well, where's my Krueger? Where's Coffee with Krueger? Well, you have to remember that Coffee with Krueger is based on the internet. And without the internet, you can't do it. So thank you, Kenny. And Kenny, by the way, Kenny's one of my sponsors from Lassen County Nursery. Kenny, we got to set up a time. We got to set up a time for me to meet with you, and we'll talk about Lassen County Nursery, what you're all about. I want to celebrate you for being one of my sponsors. So we need to connect, Kenny, and get that interview ready to go. All right, let's get to the forecast now and get everybody. Oh, what did I do? What did I do? I did something. Can I get? Okay. All right. All right. I clicked some. I fat fingered something on something. All right. Let's get to the forecast, shall we? And of course, as you know, speaking of sponsors, Weather NorCal and of course, Coffee with Krueger is sponsored by and made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Okay, we take a look at the current conditions out there right now, and it's actually getting warm. All right, despite the fact that we are going to see cooler temperatures for today, when I say cooler, just not as hot as it has been. Let's just put it that way. We're sitting about 75 degrees right now for Redding. So again, it's already starting to warm up. Now, not as bad in places like Willows at about 65 degrees right now, Chico about 73, and we got 61 degrees for Alturas. All right, so we take a look at the weather headlines. A downward trend continues today and tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow will be the peak of the cooling trend before they go back up again. So we're seeing this kiddie roller coaster ride, if you will, as we go into the next 7 to 10 days. Now, we do expect high fire danger today, mainly for Modoc County and the eastern mountains. We'll take a closer look at that here in a second. And could we be talking about our next heat wave by the middle to latter part of next week? It's a possibility. This is something I've been talking about. I talked about late last week and early this week. And then the forecast models kind of backed off on that potential heat wave. But now we're seeing signs again, and wouldn't you know, probably just in time for that 4th of July celebration. Once again, we take a look at the Apache fire and any recent activity, and there isn't. In fact, this is 24 hours old as far as the heat signature, so that means there hasn't been any recent activity with the fire. Now, we kind of look forward and talk about the fire potential here for today. Extreme eastern Modoc, but really for all intents and purposes, even all of Modoc County, be looking at gusty winds today. And then eastern Lassen County and eastern Plumas County. All of this orange with the W just means windy conditions, and that is elevating the fire danger as a result. That's why the National Weather Service has issued for today a red flag warning for Modoc County and for eastern Lassen County. Basically from noon until 8 o'clock here for tonight. Gusty winds, low humidity. So the winds right now, not a big deal, right? But by noon and this afternoon, yeah, those winds are picking up, especially in the mountains. And eventually, even the valley, seeing some pretty gusty winds as well. That will have an impact even for the fire danger in the valley, too. Then we go into your Thursday afternoon. Much weaker winds, although still breezy, with those north winds continuing for the coast. And how about your Friday? Well, we take a look at Friday. The wind's really not that big of a factor, but still it looks like a little gusty winds out there along parts of the coast. So humidity, it's low, basically 10 to 20% today. We go into your Thursday, the humidity actually may even be a little bit lower. And what I want you to start noticing here is when we started the fire season a couple months ago, the driest conditions were in the valley. And that's where the highest fire danger was always, right? It was never a high fire danger in the mountains a couple of months ago. Then here over the last month, we started to see it kind of creep its way eastward. Drier conditions in the East Mountains, Modoc County, even parts of Siskiyou County. We started to see drier conditions developing here. But still, western Siskiyou, Trinity County, and of course Delaware, Humboldt County, looking at some pretty good humidity levels. But now what we're starting to see here, and look at this for Thursday, we're beginning to see some of these brown colors of the dry conditions here working their way into Trinity County. And you even saw that in an image that was sent in by Rowdy Kelly in southwest Trinity County, showing some of that dry brush that we're beginning to see in Trinity County. So fire danger is going to start creeping its way westward into western Siskiyou County and Trinity County as well. And there again on Friday, you see how we're seeing some pretty dry, at least getting drier conditions there, but still very dry in the valley and still very dry for the mountains to the north and to the east. So when you combine the temperature, humidity, and winds, you can see for today, it's going to be pretty hot. Winds are picking up and it's very dry. So as a result, moderate to high fire danger in the valley. We've got mainly moderate fire danger for Modoc County, eastern mountains, but again, that red flag warning is something we need to take heed of. Then we go into Thursday, looks like still kind of in that moderate range. You see a little bit of an elevation here, elevated fire risk here for western Tehama County, but not as bad for the eastern mountains and not to mention off to the west. We take you into your Friday fire weather risk. This is looking pretty good. I mean, mainly in that moderate category of low for the mountains. So we are seeing some relief from that fire weather danger, but today is really going to be the biggest concern here. Heat wave next week, that's the big question, because we take a look at the cool temperatures. The cooler temperatures, at least the peak of the cooling trend I'm talking about, will be tomorrow. But what's happening is this. We've got a big ridge of high pressure to our west and an area of high pressure off to our east. Both of them want to just come on in right over Northern California. But we still have these storm systems that are riding to our north, and that's keeping that heat at bay. With that being said, this is building a little bit stronger. This is going to be moving back into the desert southwest, and as a result, our temperatures will start to increase. Now look what happens as we go into Monday. Look at this. This ridge of high pressure is really building and expanding. This one's still having a hard time moving in because this right here is riding to the north of it and kind of keeping it from really moving in. What it's doing is it's keeping those temperatures at bay. But here's the thing. As this builds, this cooler air is actually having a harder time moving in. So instead of moving eastward, it's actually digging more to the south. So as a result, look what happens. Now we have that classic dome and ridge of high pressure, not only over the eastern Pacific, but making its way into the western United States. This type of high pressure and this strength of high pressure, we're still going to be watching how strong it gets, but the strength of it, I've seen in some forecast models getting us close to that 110 degree mark by the time we get to the middle and latter part of next week. So could we see our first 110 degree temperature next week? It's not out of the question. It's something I'm monitoring, it's something I'm tracking, but still tracking the potential for that heat wave. So we take a look at your temperature trend for the valley. Yeah, I mean, we're going down, then kind of back up again. And this is that mini roller coaster ride I was talking about. We're not seeing very big temperature spreads. But then we start to see them kind of ramp back up, that is, as we get into the middle of next week. Same situation for the mountains, down, then back up towards the beginning and middle of next week. And of course, for the coast, not much going on, right? Low to mid 60s for your daytime highs there. No big temperature spreads there, no big heat wave. Now look at all of the lightning strikes that we saw yesterday. It was mainly over Nevada and into the southern Sierra as well. We did see a couple, and for us here in Northern California in particular, there was one in, if you look closely, Trinity County, yes. So there were some showers out there. Some of us saw the heavier downpours, others just a passing sprinkle, others didn't see a drop of rain, but some of that virga. It looked like it was going to rain, but it didn't in many areas. That's the monsoon moisture. The area of high pressure that's associated with that and helping to transport the clockwise rotation around that high is what helped to transport that monsoon moisture in. Now, there is some leftover moisture this morning. You're seeing those in the form of clouds. Those are moving on out as this all shifts eastward and we've got sunny skies for the rest of the afternoon. Most of us. Now, the coast, it's going to be hard for some of that fog to burn off entirely. But there you can see by noon today, we still have some of the fog along parts of the coast. And then it looks like that marine layer kind of creeps its way back in this afternoon and evening, and a few clouds off to the north into parts of Siskiyou County. Taking you tomorrow morning, there's the fog along the coast making its way down to Garberville. Some of those inland valleys seeing some fog tomorrow morning as well. But those inland valleys should see it burn off here pretty quickly by the afternoon, but maybe some of that kind of persisting along the coast. Now look at Friday. Friday is still seeing some of that fog out there to start off the day, but I am seeing signs that by Friday afternoon, maybe even the coast could see a little bit more sunshine here for the second half of the day as we wrap up the work week. Drier than normal conditions in the forecast, that's to be expected. It's dry this time of the year anyway, so it's not hard for us to see those drier than normal conditions. Your wave heights looks like they'll be fairly low here for today. We take you into your Thursday, fairly low as well, although it looks like they may increase just a little bit. Taking a look at your marine forecast for your Wednesday. Southwest winds at about 5 knots with that patchy, dense fog that we will see out there. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures mainly in the 80s. There you can see about 89 degrees for Weaverville, 86 out in Coffee Creek today. Taking to southern Trinity County, there's a look at Ruth with a high of 81, Mad River 74 and 81 degrees in Wildwood. And taking a look at your North Coast neighborhood forecast. Now again, if you look at some of the inland areas, for the mountains and the valley, it's down, then back up again. That's going to be the trend for the 7-day forecast for everyone, with the exception of, that's right, the coast. Even places like Fortuna, Hydesville, and Ferndale, mainly looking at temperatures there in the mid to upper 60s. And then, of course, as we take a look at places like Hoopa, you're looking at temperatures also dropping and then going back up, then dropping and then going back up again. And we take you up north, and there you can see out towards Crescent City, that flat line, right around 60 degrees, give or take. Take a look at Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures there, down, up, right? And then, of course, temperatures mainly in the mid to upper 80s for today. 83 degrees for Etna, 81 degrees for Fort Jones today. Callahan, you'll see a high of about 85 degrees. Take you off into central and eastern Siskiyou County, out towards places like McDowell, 81, but a little bit warmer in Mount Shasta City with a high of 86. Modoc County, mid-80s, give or take. There you can see your 7-day outlook. Temperatures dropping, going back up, and then another dip, and then back up to about 90 by next Tuesday. Here's your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. Look at Bernie. You're looking at a temperature about 84 degrees today. I'm going to have to play around with these. These numbers aren't matching up. I'll make sure that that's a little bit more accurate. 86 degrees for Fowler, for Mills, 81 for Bieber. Just so many little tweaks you got to make, and so many areas to follow and focus on. Sometimes I overlook it until every once in a while I'm like, oh, that looks a little different, a little strange. I'll have to kind of check on that. There's a look at Lake Elsinore, Lassen Park, 70 degrees for today in Lassen Park, 84 out in Chester. Yes, those numbers are matching at least. Let's go ahead and take a look at to the south. Paradise, you're going to see a high today of 88. Susanville, 89 for your daytime high, and 89 for Doyle as well. And your valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by NorCal Tractor. These temperatures are also seeing that upward and downward trend, but then going back up as we go into next week. 96 for the city of Shasta Lake, 90 in Lakehead, and Palo Cedro, a high today of about 97 degrees. So let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for Redding. Temperatures back up to about 100 degrees by Friday. There, of course, you can see temperatures going down again Saturday, Sunday, but still hot. We're still in the upper 90s, right? But look at those temperatures climbing back up. Monday of next week, 102. And 107 degrees by next Tuesday. So it looks like, yes, we've got your typical summer heat that is here and is here to stay for a while. But we really, here's the thing, so far so good. We haven't seen long stretches of triple-digit heat, where you see, we're not breaking any records of consecutive days of 100 degrees or higher. Where I haven't seen 110 degrees yet, although that may change by next week. But even if it does, most likely it may not be here forever. So that's pretty much what the forecast is looking like at this point. Let's check in with everybody else. And of course, we have got Catherine Schmidt making a comment out there this morning saying, missed your outage. Now I know it wasn't me. Sorry to hear about the trouble. Well, thank you, Catherine. I certainly appreciate that. It was a bit of trouble, but, it is what it is. And we have got, just before I kind of click that off, we got David Hoffman saying good morning. By the way, David, thank you so much for sending in your image. And I'm excited to know that I've got a National Weather Service certified weather spotter. That's good, because you can become a weather spotter for me as well. And I know that the information I'm getting from you is from someone who knows what they're talking about. Good coffee. Looks like Pam Carver is saying late. She winked at me, winking back at you. But wow, beautiful morning. I agree. We're still seeing some of those. I have a window. I'm so excited. I didn't have a window at the TV station, so it's kind of fun having a window. But yeah, looking out, again, I'm already starting to see there were a lot more clouds even just an hour ago. And as expected, as I look to the west, I can see it out my window here, it's clear skies. So we're seeing all of those clouds that you see now, those are shifting eastward. So we've got those clearing skies out there this morning. So thank you so much. Oh, Pam is saying coffee with Krueger, of course, using the coffee emoji and the hello. So coffee with Krueger, hello to you, Pam, as well. Thank you all so much for chiming in this morning. Thank you for checking in. Let's get that music queued up. So many different buttons I've got to push, so many things that I've got to do, but I think it's going. And we're going to take a look at some cameras out there this morning as well as we kind of wrap up the show. So I'm sad for you, Pam, that you got here a little late, but keep in mind, of course, as you know, you can check back on Facebook to watch the full forecast, and you can always go to weathernorcal.com to check out the latest forecast as well. Thank you all so much for chiming in this morning. Thank you for checking in. Remember to send your weather photos. I love to see them. Just go to the free Weather NorCal app, and you can upload your photos to me, Mike Krueger, to my weather computer directly. And I can check out all your photos, and I can share those photos throughout the week on Coffee with Krueger, right here on Coffee with Krueger, and not to mention the morning update, and right here on social media as well. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early on Coffee with Krueger at 7 a.m. In the meantime, enjoy some of the awesome cameras that we have here in Northern California.